swaying and looking around in a daze. The MC made it only as far as the fire extinguisher, and there he got sick. He cried in woe, "My head! My head!" Rimsky was among those who rushed over to him. The MC cried, grabbed at the air with his hands, and mumbled, "Give me back my head! Give me back my head! Take my apartment! Take my pictures! Only give me back my head!" A messenger ran for a doctor. People urged Biengalski to lie down on a couch in the dressing room, but he fought them off and got rowdy. An ambulance had to be called. When the unfortunate MC had been carted off, Rimsky ran back to the stage, only to find new miracles in progress. And by the way, it was either then or a short time before that the magician and his faded armchair disappeared from the stage, something which the audience failed to notice, totally absorbed as it was in the extraordinary things Fagot was doing on stage. After dispatching the ailing MC, Fagot made the following announcement. "Now that we've gotten rid of that bore, let's open a store for the ladies." Suddenly, the stage floor was covered with Persian rugs. Huge mirrors appeared, illuminated along the sides by elongated green bulbs, and between the mirrors were glass display cases, where the audience, in a state of happy bedazzlement, beheld Parisian frocks in various colors and styles. These were in some of the cases, and in others were hundreds of hats, with feathers and without, and hundreds of shoes, with buckles and without, black, white, yellow, leather, satin, suede, shoes with straps and shoes with gems. Containers of perfume appeared among the shoes, as well as mountains of chamois, satin, and silk handbags with piles of elongated, embossed gold lipstick cases scattered in between them. The devil only knows where the red-haired girl in the black evening dress came from, who was standing by the display cases with a proprietary smile, her beauty marred only by a strange scar on her neck. With a saccharine smile, Fagot announced to the women in the audience that the store would exchange their old clothes and shoes for Parisian styles and Parisian shoes. He added that the same sort of exchange would apply to handbags and the like. The cat scraped his hind paw and simultaneously gestured with his front paw the way doormen do upon opening the door. Sweetly, albeit with a touch of throatiness, the redhead began to recite words which were baffling but seductive, judging by the women's faces in the orchestra. Guerlain, Chanel No. 5, Mitsuko, Narcisse Noir, evening gowns, cocktail dresses. Fagot twisted and squirmed, the cat bowed, and the girl opened the glass cases. "Be our guests," bellowed Fagot. "No need to be shy or stand on ceremony." The audience was excited, but no one as yet made any move to go up on stage. Finally, a brunette stepped out of the 10th row of the orchestra and, smiling as if to say she had nothing better to do, came down the aisle and walked up the side stairs to the stage. "Bravo!" cried Fagot. "Greetings to our first customer. Behemoth, bring the lady a chair. Shall we begin with shoes, madame?" The brunette sat down in the chair, whereupon Fagot laid out a whole pile of shoes on the carpet in front of her. She took off her right shoe, tried on a lilac one, tapped her foot on the carpet, and examined the heel. "Won't they pinch?" she asked thoughtfully. "Madame, madame!" exclaimed Fagot in offended tones, and the cat gave an insulted meow. "I'll take this pair, monsieur," said the brunette with dignity as she put on the other shoe. The brunette's old shoes were thrown behind the curtain, and she herself headed in that direction, accompanied by the redhead and Fagot, who was carrying hangers draped with an assortment of dresses in different styles. The cat fussed about, offered assistance, and hung a tape measure around his neck in order to look more important. A minute later, the brunette came out from behind the curtain, wearing a dress that made the entire orchestra section gasp. The brave woman, whose appearance had improved amazingly, stopped in front of the mirror, straightened her bare shoulders, touched the hair at the back of her neck, and twisted around, trying to get a look at herself from the rear. "The firm asks you to accept this as a memento," said Fagot, handing her an open box with a bottle of perfume inside. "Merci," the brunette answered haughtily, and she went back down to her seat. As she walked up the aisle, people jumped up trying to touch the box. And at this point, all hell broke loose. Women came onto the stage from all directions. Above the general din of excited chatter, laughter, and sighs, a man's voice was heard saying, "I won't let you," and a woman's voice riposting, "Tyrant, Philistine, don't break my arm." Women disappeared behind the curtain, left their dresses there, and came out wearing new ones. An entire row of ladies sat on gilt-legged stools, energetically tapping the carpet with their newly shod feet. Fagot was down on his knees, assisting with a metal shoehorn. The cat was wearing himself out, trudging back and forth between the display cases and the stools, weighted down with piles of handbags and shoes. The redhead with the disfigured neck would appear and disappear, and it got to the point where she was chattering away exclusively in French. And amazingly, the women understood everything she said, even those who did not know a word of French. There was general astonishment when a man made his way onto the stage and announced that his wife had influenza and that he was there to ask for something on her behalf. To prove that he was married, the man was ready to show his passport. The declaration of the concerned husband provoked laughter. Fagot yelled that he believed him completely even without a passport and handed him 2 pairs of silk stockings. The cat, for his part, threw in a lipstick case. The women who were latecomers rushed onto the stage, while the lucky ones poured off it, dressed in ball gowns, lounging pajamas with dragons, severely cut suits, and hats tilted over the eyebrow. Then Fagot announced that due to the late hour, in exactly 1 minute, the store would be closing until tomorrow evening. There was an incredible uproar on stage. Women snatched up shoes in haste without even trying them on. One woman swept behind the curtain like a tempest, tore off her clothes, and grabbed the first thing in sight, a silk robe with a huge floral design, and for good measure, she grabbed 2 bottles of perfume, too. Exactly a minute later, a shot rang out, the mirrors disappeared, the display cases and stools vanished, and the carpet melted into thin air along with the curtain. The last thing to disappear was the mountain of old dresses and shoes, and the stage again became stark, empty, and bare. And then a new character got involved in the act. A pleasant, resonant, and very persistent baritone was heard coming from box number 2. "Just the same, citizen artiste. It would be much appreciated if you would reveal to the audience the techniques you use in your magic, especially the trick with the paper bills. The return of the MC to the stage would also be appreciated. The audience is worried about his fate." The baritone belonged to none other than Arkady Apollonovich Sempleyarov, a guest of honor at that evening's performance, and the chairman of the Acoustics Commission for Moscow theaters. Arkady Apollonovich was seated in a box with 2 ladies, one older, expensively and stylishly dressed, and the other young, pretty, and dressed more simply. The former was Arkady Apollonovich's wife, as the official report of the proceedings would later reveal, and the latter was a distant relative of his, an aspiring young actress, who had arrived from Saratov and was staying with Arkady Apollonovich and his wife in their apartment. "Pardon," retorted Fagot. "I beg your pardon, but there is nothing to reveal here. Everything is clear." "No, I'm sorry. An exposé is absolutely imperative. Otherwise, your brilliant act will leave a painful impression. The audience demands an explanation." "The audience," said the impudent buffoon, interrupting Sempleyarov, "seems to have said nothing, right? But in deference to your wishes, I shall begin the exposé in a moment. However, for that purpose, will you allow me to present one final little number?" "Why not?" replied Arkady Apollonovich in a condescending tone, "but make sure it comes with an exposé." "Of course, of course. Well then, Arkady Apollonovich, may I ask you where you were yesterday evening?" Upon hearing this inappropriate and possibly even rude question, Arkady Apollonovich's face changed dramatically. "Yesterday evening, Arkady Apollonovich was at a meeting of the Acoustics Commission. declared Arkady Apollonivich's wife very haughtily. "But I don't understand what this has to do with magic." "Oui, madame," confirmed Fagot. "Naturally you don't. As for the meeting, you're completely mistaken. Arkady Apollonovich left for the alleged meeting, which, to set the record straight, was not scheduled for yesterday. And then, when he got to Чистые пруды, where the Acoustics Commission meets, he let his driver go." The whole audience grew hushed, "and went by bus to Yelakhovsky Street to pay a visit to Militsa Andreevna Pokobatko, an actress in a touring regional company, and he stayed there for about 4 hours." "Oh!" came an anguished cry in the hushed silence. Arkady Apollonovich's young relative suddenly let out a low-pitched, terrifying laugh. "That explains everything," she exclaimed. "And I've had my suspicions for a long time. Now I know why that third-rater got the part of Louisa." And then she suddenly waved her short, stubby lilac umbrella and hit Arkady Apollonovich over the head. The vile Fagot, alias Korovyov, cried out, "Here you have, respected citizens, the kind of exposé which Arkady Apollonovich so persistently asked for. You wretched woman, how dare you lay a hand on Arkady Apollonovich?" threatened his spouse, rising up to her full height in the box. The young relative was seized with another fit of satanic laughter. "If anyone can lay a hand on him, I certainly can," she answered through her laughter, and again her umbrella was heard, cracking Arkady Apollonovich over the head. "Police! Arrest her!" shrieked Madame Siempleyarov in such a terrifying voice that it made many people's blood run cold. And at this point, the cat leaped up to the footlights and roared out to the theater in a human voice, "The show is over! Maestro, hack out a march!" The half-crazed conductor, only dimly aware of what he was doing, waved his baton, and the orchestra did not so much start to play, burst out in, or even strike up, but rather, to use the cat's repulsive expression, it hacked out an improbable march, so sloppily played that it did not resemble a march at all. For a moment it seemed as if the half-clear, semi-distinct, yet provocative words of the march had been heard once upon a time in a café chantant somewhere under southern skies. His Excellency had a taste for domestic fowl, and was always on the prowl for good-looking chicks. Or maybe those were not the words, and there were other ones to the same music, which were also highly indecent. That's not important. What is important is that after this, something like the fall of the Tower of Babel broke out in the Variety Theater. The police rushed to the Sempleyarov's box, curiosity seekers climbed onto the railing, hellish bursts of laughter and mad shrieks were heard, which were drowned out by the golden crash of cymbals coming from the orchestra pit. And the stage was suddenly empty, and both the trickster Fagot and the huge brazen cat behemoth had melted into thin air and vanished, just as the magician and his faded armchair had vanished before them.